crazy. Absolutely insane. And it gets worse as it goes on. Right? So we're in this world. We have to deal with whatever we're dealt with. Right? Everyone is dealt a different set of cards, but we all live in the same mixed up world. So one of the songs they sang earlier was Mata Ma'amin Sheyecholim Lekalkel. Mata Ma'amin Sheyecholim Lekalkel. Ta'amin Sheyecholim Lekalkel. Okay. So if you believe that you can screw up, pardon my French, you believe that you could rectify it too. So where did the screw up first start? At the beginning, right? The Sanhedrin tells that Adam Rishon, on the sixth day of creation, he was, Hashem took the earth from all over different parts of the earth and started forming his body, and then he shaped it and he formed it until he came out to Adam Rishon. Then when he was a goylem, just a form, he showed him all the generations that were to come, all the generations. And one of the Midrashim says, Hashem showed him, Dor v'dorshav, every generation and the leaders of the generation. So the question was asked, why don't you show him the leaders first, right? The leaders of the generation. He said if he would have seen the leaders of the generation, he probably never would have wanted to get up. But he showed him the generation. This is the generation, so this is the leader that you have. Okay, so Adam Rishon. The Gemara says that he stood on his feet the 9th hour of the day. Let's say the day starts at 6 o'clock. So now it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And Adam Rishon stood up as a person the first time in his life. Okay? But the Gemara continues and says, in the 10th hour, 4 o'clock, is when he ate from the Eitz Hadash. The guy didn't last 1 hour. 1 hour, right? 9 o'clock, he was formed, he stood up as a mensch, right? An hour later, he ate from the Eitz Hadash. So what chance do we have? What chance does any of us have? Adam Rishon was formed by the hands of Hashem Kaviyach, right? A pure body, a pure soul. There was no Yetzer Hara, and there was no Yetzer Hara until after he ate from the Eitz Hadash. There was the Nachash who tried whatever. But you start thinking about it. If you want to believe that you can really mess up everything, right? Take a look at Adam Rishon, right? So what does Rebbe Nachman come to tell us? That believe that you could repair. Now the Arizal explains at length that the kilkul, the destruction that came about when Adam Rishon ate from the Eitz Hadash was so bad, it spread sparks of holiness throughout the entire world. And it's our job throughout the generations, Dor v'dorshav, every generation, to pick up the sparks, do whatever we can to correct and rectify. It's our job, right? And that's why we are in the mess that we are. And that's why we're nearing completion. We're nearing perfection. We're nearing the rectification of everything that went wrong. It's really an amazing thing to look at the world as it is, and you can't kind of figure out what's going on. Last year, the Rebbe's Yortzeit, 3 days later, 4 days later, they had the October 7th. And destruction, death, Hamas, right? The Pasuk says, "Michamas Yaakov achicha techachescho busha." From the anger of Yaakov Avinu, we're all going to be covered in shame, right? It was very shameful what happened. It should never have happened for many reasons. It happened. Hashem runs the world. We have to realize that Hashem is to blame for October 7th last year. And he did it for a purpose we don't understand. In the beginning of Shara Kavonos, the Arizal explains that every generation, it's really, we're recycled souls. My soul has been here before, and I've been given chances to rectify what I did wrong, and somehow I didn't complete the job. So I had to come back again and again and again. He says, many souls, and this is what the Arizal writes, it's so clear, it's so frightening. He says that the people from the generation of the destruction of the temple, right? Because the enemy came in and destroyed so many people at once, not everybody got what they deserved. So unfortunately, over the generations, people get punished with this punishment that was due them from 2,000 years ago. It's very hard to understand these kind of ideas, but when we realize that everything is done for rectification purposes, then it begins to fall into place. Everything that happens begins to fall into place. So first, let's quote a pasuk from Yeshaya. It's in the Haftarah of Nitzavim Vayelech, Soisos B'Hashem. It says, "V'era ki ein ish, v'eshtoimim ki ein mafkia." Hashem says, I wonder that there is no one standing up for the Jewish nation. No one. And I'm in amazement that there's nobody standing on our side. I'm nearing 80, and I grew up in Borough Park, where we had a lot of Italians. It was half and half then. Anyone know Borough Park today? It's all Jewish, right? At that time, it was half Jewish, half Italian. And we had our fair share of fights, broken noses, and it was nice, right? It was understood that this is the way life is. But to see the hatred of the Jewish nation from the entire world, that I never saw before, right? V'era ki ein ish. I use this as an introduction to let us understand what's happening now, right? Rebbe Nachman told the story of the Master of Prayer. The Master of Prayer, there were 10 major characters. The king, queen, the princess, their child. She was married to the Gibor, the mighty warrior. Then there was the Baltfila, the wise man. There was the Melitz, the bard. There was the treasurer. And one more. There we go. Senior moment. Right? There was the king's best friend. Okay. Now, the story is the longest in the story. We won't go into it. But the Gibor, the mighty warrior, had a tremendous power. What was his power? His power was that he had a sword. The sword had 3 powers to it. One, he picked up the sword, and all the leaders of the enemy fell. The second power was that the soldiers that were left behind began to flee. And the third was that they were inflicted with a terrible skin disease that they all ended up dying from. In my my look, my outlook on life. I'm very encouraged by a lot of things that happen. Chas v'sholom, that we shouldn't think the blood of one Jew, the drop of one Jew, is not worth anything. It's all worth so much, it's incredible. It's a tremendous amount of worth to every single Jew. Everyone, no matter who he is, no matter what he's done, there's a power in that Jew to bring about the rectification of the world. So, we take a look at last year, Hamas, Yimach Shemam, right? They attacked us. They expected Israel to attack back, kill. They didn't expect what's happening until today. That they didn't expect. They took hostages because they've already exchanged one Gilad Shalit. They exchanged over 1,000 Arabs, which if I'm an Arab, I would be embarrassed that 1,000 of us don't equal one Jew. Think of it that way, right? But they did that. Okay. So now you have hostages. They're going to free all the Arabs and whatnot. It didn't happen. But ask yourself the question. Right after Hamas did what they did, Hezbollah comes into the picture. They're in the north. What do they have to do with Gaza? What? Right? They start fighting. So now Hezbollah is fighting. Then you take those cavemen, the Houthis, right? Who are they? What are they? Cavemen, right? That's all they are. Nothing less than that, nothing more than that, right? And they get involved. They're stopping international shipping, right? All because Hamas killed 1,200 Yidden and took hostages. And Iran gets involved. Iran was the maker of it all. What are we supposed to make of all this? Well, say we're in Tov Shin Pei Hey, 5,785th year of creation. It's a long time since Adam Harishon did what he did, right? But if you open your eyes, you begin to get encouraged by how Hashem has performed such incredible miracles this entire year. The drop of every blood of every Jew is important, but the minimum amount of losses that have happened during the year is nothing less than miraculous. Call it like Kriyas Yamsuf, like splitting the sea. It's impossible, right, that there should be so much damage. Over 26,000 rockets fired from Hezbollah and Hamas into Eretz Yisrael, and the casualties are nearly none. Nearly. It's incredible. You have to look at the miracles that Hashem is doing every single day. That's the first encouragement that we have to take. But there's more. The Gibor, the mighty warrior, which I call Rebbe Nachman, right? He was also the master of prayer. He was also the wise man. He was also all the others. But whatever. The mighty warrior had a sword. And when he waved the sword, the leaders of all the opposition fell. What are we witnessing today? Nasrallah, Sinwar, how many other leaders of Hamas and Hezbollah were wiped out? Even Houthis, right? We're looking at how Hashem is now turning the picture around. We're in the midst of one of the most horrific times in history. One of the worst times. It's impossible. You can't, the way people act, the way people talk, I mean, anything and everything, the woke movement or anything else, the fact that America could put up a Kamala Harris to run for president, that itself is the most frightening thing that could happen. Someone like that, Kamala is the same letters as Hamalek, right? We have all the different things that are happening in the world today, and yet we have to take encouragement from it. We have to realize that the tzaddikim are praying for us, they're working for us. Hashem is on our side, and He's protecting Eretz Yisrael. Whatever is happening to these poor soldiers, or the people that are killed in a rocket or whatever, all this goes back to what the Ari said about the punishments that go back to the second Beis Hamikdash. We can't understand it, but we can take encouragement from the fact that Hashem is watching over us. Now, all the Nevi'im prophesied that the Jews will return to Eretz Yisrael before Mashiach comes. Before. They will rebuild the land. They will plant. They will grow. They will inhabit. They will build. And we see this happening before our eyes. The first chief rabbi of Israel, Yitzhak Herzog, he was an Irish citizen. The British, when they were leaving in 1948, they said to him, "Come with us, you'll be safe in England. This place looks like it's going to explode," right? He said to them, "Hashem promised us 2 exiles. They're gone. We are now starting the Exodus. We are now starting the Yeshua. This takes emunah, faith." Rabbi Nachman's major teaching is faith, emunah. You have to have emunah that whatever is happening for our good. Fine. But how do we take the encouragement? We take a look at ourselves. What did I do today? Every day, we ask ourselves. And we speak to Hashem, despite us. Hashem, what am I really supposed to be doing? I'm living my life. But what am I really supposed to be doing? Do you realize that every single mitzvah that we do brings Mashiach closer? We're sitting in a sukkah. It's a mitzvah. Just to sit in the sukkah is a mitzvah, right? Just to sit in the sukkah. We take the Daled Minim. Zoya says about the 4 minim, the lulav, esrog, hadassim, arovos. Zoya says we go through Rosh Hashanah. Esav, the Satan, prosecutes. He gets up there before Hashem, and believe it, that every second of Rosh Hashanah, the Satan is up there in all his might, prosecuting every one of us for anything that we may have thought wrong, let alone said wrong, let alone did wrong. He's prosecuting us. And Hashem has to listen. That's the way He created the world. There's a system of justice. But then come 10 days of Tshuva. And comes Yom Kippur. Anyone who fasts, or anyone who can't fast, and they eat shiurim, or they eat what they have to eat, Hashem forgives all their sins. All their sins. All their sins are forgiven on Yom Kippur. Rabbi Nachman once said, and this is the most amazing thing, what other tzaddikim do from Rosh Hashanah till Shmini Atzeres, I accomplished the first night of Rosh Hashanah. Right? Whatever they do for 22 days till Shmini Atzeres, I accomplished the first night of Rosh Hashanah. And I always wondered as a kid, what did they do 22 days? I mean, what are they doing? Until I finally saw it in the Arizal. He says like this, Adam and Chava, right, the beginning. They were created back to back. Back to back, there's no communication. Back to back, there's no relationship. You got to bring them forward, face to face. So, Hashem created the world with chesed, kindness, and Hashem created the world with gvuros, with judgments. So first, he took the judgments and he turned them into the first 10 days of creation. Rosh Hashanah, second day, Tzom Gedalia, on until Yom Kippur. These are 10 days of judgments. Hashem was kind of like, picture a bone that's combining. Hashem is sawing away all the gvuros. He's cutting out all the judgments till Yom Kippur. And then after Yom Kippur, start 10 days of kindness. 10 days of absolute kindness, love, compassion that we have. And that takes us from Yud Aleph Tishrei till Chof Tishrei, which is Wednesday, the day before Hoshana Rabbah. What happens is Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, the judgments are sealed. The Chosim, right, they're sealed on Yom Kippur and Ne'ilah. But then you have 10 days of compassion. The Rebbe explains that the first 4 days after Yom Kippur, there is nothing in this world that could portray the kindness of Hashem. Nothing. Therefore, there are 4 days, which the Medrash says, "Ulkachtem lochem b'yom harishon." Take for yourselves the first day of Sukkot, Hilula, Esrog, right? Why it's called the first day? It's the 15th day of the month. Why do you call it the first day? The Medrash says it's Rishon l'cheshbon avonos. Anything that's done between Yom Kippur and Sukkot, right, is completely wiped off the map. It's not counted against us. Anything we may have done wrong. Why not? That love and compassion is so powerful that Hashem forgives us. But then He gives us a sukkah. We have to sit in the sukkah. Why? The sukkah is called Bina. If you know the spheres, there's Keser, Chochmah, Bina. From Bina comes down to 7 lower levels, Zeram, Malchut, whatever. But Bina is like a mother who hovers over her child, and she protects her child, and she's looking after the good of the child. We're able to walk into the sukkah with Hashem covering us completely. Sukkah is one of only 3 mitzvahs that a person can do with his entire body. Living in Eretz Yisrael, going to the mikveh, and sukkah. No other mitzvah could you do with your entire body like that. And then we have the lulav and esrog. The Arizal explains that with lulav, we shake it. What are we shaking? All 6 levels, right? 6 parts, up and down, right? He says, we're drawing that chesed. We should make the bracha, by the way. He suggests that you make the bracha of lulav in the sukkah. Why? Because in the sukkah, you can draw the chesed of the sukkah, the compassion of Hashem from the mother, right? You can bring it all the way down to my heart, that I can have that compassion. So anyway, that's another 10 days of Ava, of love of Hashem. Then comes Hoshana Rabbah, where it's the seal of whatever happened, Rosh Hashanah, right? And then comes Shmini Atzeres, and Rashi brings some Chumash, right? It's a Gemara, Medrash, that Hashem asked the Jews, stay 1 day. Pesach has only 7 days. Sukkot, 8 days, Shmini Atzeres. Why? Hashem says to the Jews, stick with me 1 more day. Stick with me 1 more day. I love you, I want you. And then they're brought face to face. The communication can be established, right? The relationship could be solidified on Shmini Atzeres. So that's what the tzaddikim work with Rosh Hashanah till Shmini Atzeres in order to bring about our relationship with Hashem. Rebbe Nachman said, whatever the others do from Rosh Hashanah to Shmini Atzeres, I accomplished the first night. Anyone who was an Uman, right? Anyone who was an Uman, right? Merited to that ability to have that relationship with Hashem solidified. Then, we can still do it if you didn't make it Rosh Hashanah, you can make it till Shmini Atzeres, you can have it. But what's the point of all this? The relationship is our ability to rectify whatever is wrong in the world. And take a look. Reb Nosson has an amazing mashal. Someone asked him once, he said, you had all the very great tzaddikim of all the years, and they didn't bring Moshiach. What chance is there that we could bring Moshiach? Right? Reb Nosson gave a mashal parable of a very fortified city. It had a very thick wall, impenetrable. And the king decided he was going to break down these walls. He took his strongest soldiers, his best soldiers, the first line, front line, he sent them against the wall, they were all killed. He sent the second line, the next best, the third line, the fifth line, 20th line, whatever amount of soldiers that he sent, they all ended up being killed. Now, this powerful king who wants to capture the city, he says, they say to him, you're only left with women and children. How are you going to capture the city now? Right? He said to them, come, let's take a walk around the city. Take a look at the wall and you can see that every couple feet it's completely breached. All I have to do now is send the women and children against the wall. All they got to do is just push a little bit, and the walls will come tumbling down. Right? That is what Reb Nosson said is us. We are the weakest. What generation are we? Where's the Baal Shem Tov? Where's the Arizal? Where's Reb Shimon ben Yochai? Where's Rashi? Right? Where are all the great tzaddikim? Us? What can we do? Rabbi say, you have no idea how powerful we are. Every mitzvah, every good thought, Adam. The word Adam is Aleph, Daled, and Mem. Aleph represents the first initial thought of a person. That's the machshava. The second step is the dibur. Person speaks. The mem is the maaseh, the actual deeds that we do. Right? That's what makes up a person. Your thoughts, your speech, and your actions. We have the power to bring Moshiach. Take a look at what's happening around the world. The enemies are being defeated. This is something you never believe, that Israel would stand up to America. Don't fight Hezbollah. Keep them alive, right? Keep Iran alive. Don't hit them. Well, right? I mean, what kind of idiots are they, right? You have all trouble throughout the world because you're an idiot, right? And Israel is defying little Israel, right? 10 million people they say we have now, right? Half of them are Arabs, or a third of them anyway. Whatever. It's impossible to explain what's going on in the world today, except if you have emunah. If you believe that Hashem runs the world, then you can take a look and see how Hashem is actually running the world, and He's bringing Eretz Yisrael to the top, right? I remember the Suez War in '56. I remember it clearly, the Six-Day War in '67. I remember the Yom Kippur War, the Lebanese War in '81, '82, and all the others. I testify that after every war, there were more people putting on yarmulkes and wearing tzitzis and keeping Shabbos. Every war added to the people who believe in Hashem. It's our chance, guys. Our chance. We have the power to do one more mitzvah, one extra mitzvah. If it's a little tzedakah, if it's a chesed, if it's honoring Shabbos, if it's honoring the sukkah, helping another Jew, whatever the case may be, any little thing that we do. Well, let's become Boy Scouts and help the little old lady across the street. Right? Let's do something simple. Don't make it complicated. Make it simple. A simple mitzvah. Another page of Chumash, Rashi. Another Mishnah. Another page of Gemara, whatever it is. A page of Rebbe Nachman. Whatever we can do to better our lives. That's our power to be able to bring Moshiach. It's in our hands. Let's hope Be'ez Hashem, in the merit of Rebbe Nachman, the mighty warrior who's waving his sword, and he's getting rid of the enemies. Be'ez Hashem, we should all be zocheh to turn to Hashem, not just us. The Rebbe said in the 70s they started the Baal Tshuva movement. Anyone remembers, right? The Rebbe in the Beis Yisrael said, it's amazing. There's a spirit of holiness, of purity that's come down to the world. It would be nice if the religious people took advantage of it too. Right? That's what the Rebbe said. And he was right. Right? All of us. A little bit. Right? A little bit. Right? In the story of the exchanged children, at the end, Rabbi Nachman says there were certain things that the prince had to figure out. There was a bed, there was a table, there was a chair. He said you have to move it a little bit. You don't have to make drastic changes in your life. A little bit. A little bit change in the sleeping habit. A little bit change in the eating habit. A little bit, a small change. Say the bracha with a little bit extra kavanah. That's all. Try. Try it. You'll like it. It'll work out. And with these things, Be'ez Hashem, we, us, sitting here, and all the other Yidden outside will be zocheh to bring Moshiach tzidkenu b'meira b'yameinu. Amen.